Hello everyone, Andrew Martin here, and welcome to the July 2014 BCM Game of the Month. Now, in fact, the game this month is very current. It comes from the Women's Grand Prix event taking place in Lapota, Georgia. It was played on the 19th of June 2014, and it's between Hou Yifan, playing white, and Muminova, rated 2-3-3-2, but of course nowhere in Hou Yifan's class. Hou Yifan, of course, is one of the greatest female players of all time. Holder of the second highest ever female rating at 2.627, behind Judith Polgar, of course. And in this game, she produces a very clear-cut performance, which I think we can all understand and learn from. Now, the opening was a Ruy Lopez, and Muminova played the dreaded Berlin defence. And Hou Yifan, as many have done these days, this is a very recent development, shows no inclination to go into the queenless middle game, and instead prefers to play d3. Basically, white's approach is solid, it's reliable, it keeps the pieces on the board, and it's a way of trying to outplay black in a complicated position, rather than going in for those somewhat dry endgames that can occur in the line where white castles and black takes on e4. Of course, after d3, which is kind of a throwback to the days of Steinitz. It was Steinitz who popularised these early d3 variations of the Ruy Lopez. Black has lots of choice, and so Muminova sticks with bishop c5, which is the most popular response at present. And now white takes on c6, declaring her intentions. It's going to be a quiet position at the outset. White sets up favourable endgames by exchanging on c6. However, black has the bishop pair, which is usual in this type of situation. It's an unbalanced position, and by playing in this way, as I say, Hou hopes to outplay her less experienced opponent. Black continues to play rather aggressively in the opening stage. She plays queen e7. Clearly, there are plenty of other moves. For instance, bishop e6 has been played, castles have been played. Queen e7 is okay. White decides to castle. And now black brings the bishop out to pin the knight on f3. White plays knight c4. And now a new move, castles on the queen side, which, if you like, makes the game interesting. Now, black can keep this pretty solid by playing knight d7 here. And if h3, bishop h5, and if bishop e3, f6. The knight often goes to d7 in these exchange variation situations, and one of the main ideas is to redeploy this knight eventually to either d4 or f4. There are a couple of routes to achieve this. For instance, if white takes on c5, the knight can come back via e6 to cover the key squares. And if white leaves the situation as it is, which he probably will, then the knight can come back to f8, up to e6 again, or g6, and again covers f4 and d4. But Muminova seems up for it in this game. She castles on the queen side. White just plays queen e2, getting the queen off the d file. Perhaps black was thinking about knight takes e4. And so white plays, after knight d7, bishop to e3. Again, a standard move. White is quite happy with exchanges in these positions. She knows she's got slightly the better endgame because of the double queenside pawns. Exchanges are fine, and black plays f6 as a prelude, perhaps, to getting ready for that knight manoeuvre. The knight's coming to e6, covering the central squares. But a3, that wasn't really a slow plan. Hou intends to expand on the queen side and go after black's king. So I would say we've reached a situation where white has the more clear-cut plan. The plan is very easy to understand. The rook will come across to b1. White will play a4 and start the kingside pawn storm. So what does black have to show against this idea? Well, Muminova played bishop d4. White was happy to take and get on with the idea mentioned earlier. Black played knight g6, and after h3, Muminova played the mistaken knight to f4. And it's pretty clear that she missed a small tactic in the coming variation. Now, after queen d2, it's clear that black has two pieces attacked. And I think the tactic that Muminova missed was that after bishop takes f3, white takes on f4. And the bishop, curiously, on f3 is lost. If it comes into e2, rook e1 happens. If it goes back to h5, then queen f5 check. And I think this is what Muminova missed. I suppose she could argue that after queen d2 and go back to the game, she was going to sacrifice the knight here with knight takes h3 check, and of course that happened in the game. But again, I would say this is probably not sufficient. We note that bishop takes f3 here is again met by queen f4. This is a rather curious way to win a piece, but nevertheless win a piece it does. So black, just going back to the game now, takes on h3 and hopes to take advantage of the exposed white king. But seeing no threats, Hou proceeds with a4. This is very much the response of the grandmaster. When there aren't any clear-cut threats in the position, you get on with your plan. After queen f7, there came queen f4, enabling white to block any checks from the black queen. So black played g5, trying to launch. Queen h2, sidestepping any tactics, and the black bishop retreated. White went knight fd2. I mean, you can see white's only a stone's throw away from playing b5, which opens up the game decisively in Hou's favour. Black played f5, and now Hou judged, again, without black having any threats at all, to leave her open the king side, and that's exactly what she did. Very clear cut all the way, and now the very nice sacrifice here, pawn up to b6. A typical line opening move at the cost of a pawn. I mean, if white wants to play this in a different way, then clearly she can just go knight e5. This is also better for white. But the game move is much sharper and much clearer, really. By force, white open lines against the black king. So black tries to block in the white queen. White takes on b6, black recaptures. And now another tactic, a small tactic, which Muminova surely didn't miss, but perhaps she couldn't do anything about it. Knight to d6 check. That knight has to be taken, and now in comes the rook with the skewer of the king and the rook on h8. Very nice indeed. Whilst Muminova would like to find some sort of time to land some sort of tactical idea against the white king, she has no time at all. She has to drop back to cover h7. In comes the white queen. Queen goes to e7. And now white puts the knight up on c4. Black resigned. The problem is that black is a rook down. It's as simple as that. With no compensation whatsoever. This is a very clear-cut situation. Therefore, Muminova resigned. So an excellent game by Hou Yifan. As at the time of recording, the event is still in progress and she is running away with it, head and shoulders ahead of the opposition. So congratulations to her, and I hope you enjoyed that game of the month.